you are is I'm just trying to adjust my frame.
Oh yeah. We'll start in about 6 minutes.
In about how long?
Six
Okay.
minutes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds good. It's about an hour, right?
Yeah, we'll go about an hour.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That's about it. Hey, I know both of you two are in Southern California. It's funny because those of us on the East Coast, even though, I'm there, Kelvin and Eugenia, quite a bit. Hold on one second. Hey, we're actually good to go. Okay. But, people ask about the weather. Now here, if you ask me about the weather, like I'm going to tell you, like it could be very different than what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, the weather is like, the weather's really been really strange this season.
We're good.
Yes. Rain, super cold, something else this winter season in California.
Yeah, it's been really interesting, to say the least.
I have a question for you, Kelvin. Thank you for sending over your bio. Did you want one of us to read it, or did you want to?
No, you don't have to read. No, you don't have to read my bio.
Hey, if you want it to be read, definitely.
No, it doesn't have to be read. No.
Well, wait a minute. It is kind of impressive.
Exactly.
I don't think you need to read I don't think you need to read it. I mean, I think you can just, however you guys want to do it. I mean, I think you can just mention maybe a couple of points, but I don't think you need to read it.
I just saw a comment that said, yes, read it. We would love to hear it. People want us to read it.
Okay, yes. You guys are the boss, so hey, whatever you think is best.
Okay, definitely.
Awesome.
It is, we have 4 more minutes to go, but Eric, did you want to start now, or did you want to wait?
No, just give me 1 second. I'm just downloading something.
Yeah, take your time. I mean, because we do have some people that are coming in, but we can give it time of the 3 minutes to allow. Everyone kind of
no worries. Again, I'm just kind of.
Jenny, how's your day been so far today?
How's my day been?
Yes, well, both of you two.
Eugenia, you first, please.
Oh, thank you so much. Busy at work, but good. It's nice and sunny. The rain has stopped, and it's warming up a little bit, so that's a good thing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, you know how the East Coast can be. You know how Virginia can be, too, when it comes down to it's been kind of rainy and all that, but it's all right. But how about yourself, Kelvin?
Yeah, but I think the weather's been like really different in LA. I guess it's global warming. I don't know, but I feel like
this season, man.
It's felt more like I'm living in Seattle.
Yes.
You know that song, that Tony song? Like,
it never rains in Southern California? Yeah.
That's a huge lie. This always raining.
Yeah.
It's always raining in Southern California.
Yeah, I was surprised when I was there. I was there for the Grammys, of course, and I was surprised at man, I don't remember it raining this consistently.
Yeah, it's like.
Now I will say it did green everything up, so things look much different.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we definitely need it, right? So it's all good.
Okay. Hi, Tessa. Yes. Okay. Can we get started? Are both of you good to go?
Yes.
I am good to go.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are interviewing the fabulous Kelvin Dickerson with Tokenize LA. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be on. Thank you for having me. I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you, thank you. I am going to read Kelvin's bio and stay tuned. It's fabulous. Okay, so here we go. Kelvin Dickerson is a security token offerings business developer and speaker. He heads up business development at Digital Asset Advisors, a blockchain and STO advisory firm in Los Angeles. He has over a decade of biz development experience in the entertainment and media industry, working at some of the largest advertising agencies in New York City, including Y&R and Publicis New York, where he has helped bring in tens of millions of dollars of new revenue and deals for various advertising agencies. Kelvin is also founder of an independent TV production company, Servant Celebrity Productions in Los Angeles, with several TV deals in development. Kelvin is super passionate about the blockchain and security token offerings arena. He frequently speaks to and educates executives and intimate Hollywood groups about the blockchain technology and is aggressively working on putting together the first STO Hollywood Film Fund deal in the US, a slate of high-profile Hollywood movies. Kelvin is also founder of Tokenize LA, a blockchain outreach initiative that spreads STO awareness and education to future issuers and investors throughout the greater Los Angeles area. He frequently holds meetings bringing together top security token thought leaders in the field. He is married to film and TV actress Edwina Finley Dickerson. During their free time, Kelvin and his wife run a nonprofit called Abundant Life U, providing underserved aspiring artists with life, career, financial literacy, and 21st century job readiness skills. There we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Sounds good.
Doing great things, doing great things.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey, and let me just open up, with this. Our topic tonight is going to be tokenization of assets. It was great. I'm trying to think, guys. I think that was the end of December where we all met up in LA.
All right.
Yeah, it was around that time, and we're going to kind of open up on why we all did meet up for that particular purpose. But if you're not familiar, the tokenization of assets, as we have been looking at this blockchain cryptocurrency space, the tokenization of assets basically represents the digital representation of physical assets, could be debt, could be equity, any sort of assets. And, as we start, thinking about it, it's wide ranging as the mind can possibly be when it comes to that space. So, Kelvin, I'm going to kind of just open it up with you yourself and just talk about kind of, just a little bit about your background and how you became interested in the tokenization of asset space. And
yeah, sure. Thank you. And again, thank you guys for having me. I really love what Black blockchain consultants are doing. I think your mission and purpose is really important, bringing diversity to the space. Hey, it's a new arena, it's a new field, and I really think it's an opportunity for people of color to get in early, right? So I just feel blessed to be a part of this Zoomcast tonight, and also to be a part of this space. I got involved about a year ago, like a lot of people, as a crypto investor. Who knew what Bitcoin was? I didn't, but I just put some money in and it started to go up. But that was I guess that was around January. And but I really didn't know what the blockchain technology was. But when my investments started to go up, I was like, hey, I got to figure this out. So I did my due diligence. I started going to conferences. I went to Tim Draper executive intensive in Silicon Valley that I went to, and I really got an understanding of blockchain. And blockchain is so massive. It touches so many different arenas globally, right? I think the walls really come down. But someone really gave me some good advice at Draper University's blockchain intensive. They said, hey, you got to pick an arena, right? Just don't stand on the sidelines. And we can get into that later, because that's one of the perils of wisdom I have for the people watching tonight. Don't stand on the sidelines with this technology. Get in and make a contribution. So for me, I was a real estate investor. I had invested in a lot of different things, and security tokenization, digital securities just made sense to me. So I hopped in, and hey, I just hopped in, started going to meetups, conferences, and reading literally everything I could, meeting folks, trying to understand the space, and really kind of being an evangelist. And things kind of took off from there.
And one thing, just to kind of, when we talked about how we all met up, it was actually at a meetup.
Correct.
This Tokenize LA. Kelvin started that meetup.
Right.
And Eugenia reached out to me. She said, hey, just happened that I was in LA at the time. And I was like, wow, okay, great. This is fantastic, because I've been running my mouth about this space for a long time. And, it's just great to actually get there. And I would say I was really impressed. I was really impressed with the panelists that Kelvin had there speaking. I know he had a lot of the guys from Security Token Academy that were there also. But I do want to say, just for that whole meetup space of Tokenize LA, Kelvin, kind of what's your vision for it? Like, what are you thinking about as far as like maybe expanding or it works?
Well, I mean, how I look at tokenization is I really feel like at this moment, like 0.0001% of the population knows about it, right?
Yeah,
so I really feel like it's responsibility for everyone in the space to just evangelize to our friends, our family, our colleagues. Like the faster we help the masses understand this technology and the power of this technology, I think the faster we'll get to adoption. So what I found is looking in Los Angeles, a lot of people just had misconceptions about blockchain, about security tokens, or didn't know about it. So I really formed an organization to bring awareness and educate potential issuers, potential investors, and really create a community. My colleagues and I, we have a vision of really tokenizing some assets here in Los Angeles, especially real estate. There's a lot of prominent real estate here in Los Angeles, and we think there's a huge opportunity to tokenize it, hopefully in the near future.
No, I agree. I mean, come on, the LA estate, I mean, the LA, real estate market. I mean, if there's a place in which you would really look to want to go, I mean, that would be one.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And one of the things I guess that we can talk about too when it comes down to the space is one of the benefits of tokenization is it allows fractional ownership.
Yes.
And it may be where if there was one house or one plot of land, instead of that being owned by one individual or a small group of individuals, you're then able to take and to fractionalize the ownership of that. Where if it is worth $1 million, and it doesn't have to coincide to the value in the number range, but if it was worth $1 million, that could potentially be 1 million tokens. Now, I know that there are areas when it comes to this where, as much as we say this, it's not as easy, right? It's not as easy as we're saying it, because there are certain things when it comes down to the SEC regulations over who can own, if you're an accredited investor to an unaccredited investor and that sort of thing. So, Kelvin, I got to say, have you seen any things that have been I know I have some pain points that I've seen in the space I think need to be untangled. But are there anything that you've seen you kind of go, well, you know what, we need to get through this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to first start out, I mean, fractional ownership is definitely exciting, and I think in years to come, that's how we will buy securities, right? To me, it just makes sense. I mean, one of the ways when I explain security tokens, I like to think of explaining it to my mom or explaining it to my dad, right? And the way I look at it is, hey, if you have a hard asset like a commercial property, a piece of real estate, imagine if we can push that asset online, right, and make it digital, right? And the blockchain is a technology which allows us to do that, push everything online, and it makes it digital. And one of the benefits, as you mentioned, is fractional ownership, being able to break it up into little pieces or tokens, right? But hey, let's get, I have to underscore this a 1,000 times. It still has to be compliant, right? We still have to follow within the SEC guidelines and regulations, but through that token, theoretically, we can do so many things. We could issue out dividends. We could issue out income. The being on blockchain allows, which is ultimately a distributed ledger technology, we could see all the transactions happening, right? So the blockchain adds for a lot of different advantages. So I like to say, hey, I'll talk to my wife and friends and say, hey, okay, I own a piece of property in Atlanta, or I own a brownstone, and I own a brownstone in New York, or whatever the case may be. I think the time will come, and the time will come soon, when it's like, well, maybe there'll be a gentrification fund, right, where there will be properties in LA, New York, LA and New York, or whatever, bundled together, and that'll be fractionalized, and everyone maybe own pieces of that fund, right? So I think in the future they're going to be really creative offerings, right, that we as investors can invest in, and that's exciting to me, right? That opens up a whole nother kind of can of worms.
I do have a question for Kelvin. For those that are watching and will be watching this video, can you just give a little bit of a background on how to tokenize an actual asset? What does that mean? So for the beginner who doesn't know, can you just give a synopsis of that process?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think a good example is real estate or what I'm trying to do in film, right? I mean, so hey, if you're tradition, let's just take film, because I'm working on a film financing deal, so that's close to my heart. So okay, like let's look at film right now, right? So if you invest in a film, right, it's a little bit of a exclusive group, right? It's definitely an exclusive group. You kind of sometimes with film, one of the drawbacks is it's a little bit of a black hole. You invest in it, you don't necessarily know where the money is going, you don't necessarily know the budget. You kind of put it in and hope that things will go well, right? One of the things with film is, as well, is you may just be investing in one film, right? So that film could do well, or that film could not do well, right? So there's a huge risk, right? So and a lot of things, hey, whether it be real estate or whether it be film, it's still done what I call the old-fashioned way. It's done by paper, right? Paper transactions and things of that nature. But hey, if you enter in tokenization, right, let's take that film, right? So instead of it being a film, we can do a film fund, right? And film funds exist in the traditional sense, but let's just talk about it as far as tokenization. So that means, like for instance, I could take a genre of movies. Let's say I could take a genre of multicultural movies, like, hey, Black Panther 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that resonates, right? bundle them together. And let's just say that's $100 million fund, right? Then I could take that and break that into tokens, right? Now hold on, let's stop. It still has to go through the Security Exchange Commission. It still has to be, whether it be Reg D or whatever, I would still have to reach out to, and I think you brought that up, accredited investors, right? But then ultimately I can tokenize it, right? Meaning that different investors, accredited investors, could buy tokens of the Black Panther Fund, if you will, right? So as the Black Panther Fund made money, right? Theoretically, the revenues, hey, like we saw Black Panther made, how much did Black Panther made? Like $1 billion, right?
I think the last time I checked, I think it was 1.5 billion in counting, so it's still going up.
But as far as the ledger, who knows where that money went, right? I don't know. It went to somebody. It did not.
Somebody got rich. It doesn't say.
It did not go to me. But theoretically, with the Black Panther Fund, right? As that film or project made money, you would get income or residuals or whatever, however they split it up in your wallet, right? So how fantastic is that, right? So I think that's a good example.
I agree, and and it's funny because when you think about that, especially in the arts community, I know everyone talks about real estate, and as I've been talking to people in this space, they kind of feel like real estate is being one of the, I don't know, they look at it as one of the easier entry points into it. Yeah. But right. If those who don't know, I'm a music publisher. So, right. And that involves the ownership of the copyrights of songs themselves. Right. I look at this space being so transformative in the arts community, like films, because once again, and if we just look at films, Kelvin, I'm sure you're going to tell us what's one of the major issues that most film producers and directors and creators deal with, and that's raising capital. Right. So the tokenization of assets it really allows that for people to raise capital, especially those who are who would want to see a Kelvin Dickerson film. They would be interested in a Kelvin Dickerson film. And I mean, how cool was that? I mean, how cool would that be to actually go into the theater and to watch a movie and enjoy it, but then at the same time, go, wait a minute, this is fantastic because I'm going to benefit from this directly. And I mean, we're talking hypothetical, right? And then of course. If you were a token owner, right? And then, like I said, you look into your wallet and there are some residuals or income from the movie that you just watched, right? And that's hypothetical, but let's if it's okay, I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit for a second. If it's okay. So one of the reasons that real estate is an easy entry point for tokenization is because one of the major issues with real estate is liquidity, right? Hey, if you buy an investment property, hey, it's at the end of the day, it's just hard to cash out, right? If you ever need money from that investment property, you either got to do a refi and go through heck and high water with the bank and or getting another mortgage, second mortgage, or whatever the case may be, or you have to sell it, which is a pain in the butt, right? So theoretically, like I said, I'm making all these caveats, but theoretically, with tokenization, you can get liquidity on the secondary markets easier, right? So, hey, if I owned all these tokens, like I talked about the gentrification fund, hey, let's say cash got tight. I had another baby. As a matter of fact, I really do have another baby coming in about 2 months. But cash got tight. Baby got to eat. I need to get rid of some of the tokens. Theoretically, I can go on what's called the secondary markets and sell my tokens easily. We aren't there yet, but theoretically. So that's one of the huge advantages and why I think security tokenization is taking off
in real estate, right? But again, the markets are not there yet, right? But I think we're probably 3 to 5 years away if I had to predict, right? But the markets will be there, right? There's some exchanges, that secondary exchanges that just open up, T0, Open Finance, that and people are slowly starting to trade or what have you. But yeah, so that's a huge benefit, I think.
Okay, now you actually just touched on something that I do want to ask you. I know
Sure. Ask me anything.
And that is, and once again, this is not any endorsement whatsoever of any platform, but are there any security token platforms yourself that you're kind of like, hey, I like what they're doing, or I like how they operate? Are there any out there that you've kind of looked at and kind of feel like, hey?
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, I'll definitely name some names, but it took me a lot. It took me a while to learn this, right? So, there may be people out there, some of your audience that are thinking about tokenization, right? So if you're thinking about tokenizing, whether you have a piece of real estate, or what have you, or maybe you're trying to doing a raise for your startup or company. Tokenization is an ecosystem, right? You need a few different players to make this work, right? So the star in the security tokens world right now, the star of the show are securities attorneys, right? Because you have to be compliant, right? You have to. You can't just push a button and tokenize. You have to get a well-seasoned security attorney to help you through the process. And to me, like Batman, so I will call the securities attorney the Batman. I say the Robin is the broker dealer, right? Usually you're going to have some entity to help you to do a raise. That's, putting together your investor deck, materials, PPM, things of that nature, right? And reaching out to pools of individual investors, both traditional and investors who are interested in buying your tokens, right? So that's number two. Then I'll get to the platforms, which are the most popular, right? The platforms will help you to securitize. Now, some of my favorite platforms, and if you need a great securities attorney, broker dealer, you can reach out to me afterwards, right? But the reason I'm kind of drilling down, because people often think when they say security tokens, they often think, okay, let me just go to a platform and tokenize and press a button and then I'm good. It does not work like that. It's usually a 3 to 6 month process to tokenize, right? So in the platforms, we'll share some great ones out there. I think my favorite platform is Securitize. They're doing amazing things. I think they're really a pioneer. Harbor is really good as far as doing real estate. But there are a lot of great issuance platforms out there.
Got it.
Awesome.
That was Eugenia. Go ahead.
I probably have more information than you want to know, but hey.
No, I like it. That was great. I mean, especially the legal side, because we have attorneys in our group that I know for them, and and for people in the public, this may be an area, as we're talking about being on the very cusp of this technology being implemented, that they may want to start gearing themselves into that legal side of it. So exactly. So being compliant is super important. I've seen a lot of startups not go the lawyer route, and I won't name. There's some platforms out there that say, hey, for a few dollars, we can tokenize you and you're good. You are not good. Like I say,
when we're talking about tokenization, you have to do your due diligence. You have to go through the process because the SEC will find you, right? And yeah, they're federal, they're state regulations when it comes to securities and trading securities that we have to abide by.
Kelvin, one of the things that I really appreciated from your meetup that you spoke to was possibly putting together a directory where you had all the players involved in tokenizing an actual asset. And you would have it there for people to utilize at their disposal. And I think that's a great undertaking. And I hope that you really do follow through with that, because that's major. If you have all the players together, all they have to do is come to you and you have it all ready there, laid out for everyone in that directory. I think that is just awesome. That is awesome.
Well, I mean, and I'm happy to talk about that too offline. I mean, there's so many ways that BBC members can get involved in this space. I mean, yeah, there's so many things that need to be built in the STO arena.
Exactly.
As you mentioned, such as there needs to be a vendor directory, right? Yeah, I'm working on that, plus 8 other things, right? But just some simple, like not simple things, but for instance, right now there's no directory. If you go in a secondary market, how do you find information about the various tokenized investments? There's not really a go-to place for that right now. So again, my point is, if someone really wants to get into this space, there's a ton of opportunity just to add value. Yeah, so yeah, we can talk.
Awesome.
You know, we have in our group someone, her name is Rebecca Samuels. She is a CPA, but she also has a really robust, background in doing taxes for cryptocurrencies.
Right.
I was listening yesterday. She said something that's really intriguing. I'm telling you where I'm going with this. Yesterday, I was listening to her. She's on the podcast with the gentleman of crypto. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They do pretty much a daily update on what's happening in the market. One of the things that she mentioned, she talked about Hester Pierce, who's the commissioner at the SEC, who for the most part has seemed to be pretty crypto friendly,
right?
And friendly to blockchain innovation, and of not wanting the SEC to stifle blockchain innovation. But one of the things that Rebecca mentioned in this was that Hester, is Commissioner of SEC. Hester said, please engage with her, email her, tell her your thoughts, so that they can hear from us in the community what, as they're crafting these, like their policies, that they can hear from us. So, I know someone mentioned earlier just about, I saw the question in there, just about the SEC and kind of like, which way, I guess, is the hammer going to fall? Is it going to be, very hard on one side, or is it going to be much more friendly on the other side? I don't know, like, what is your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think when it comes to federal agencies, when it comes to Congress, I mean, there have been a lot of hearings on crypto, a lot of hearings on blockchain, a lot of hearings on blockchain as it applies to the financial arena. And I think, to be honest, I think lawmakers and the government, I think they're just trying to figure it out, right?
I agree.
They're just trying to learn. Hey, this is a really new technology, is a very disruptive technology, and all the signs I hear from the SEC, I mean, that's their posture. I mean, we're seeing signs where, hey, the SEC and even Wall Street is really starting to embrace the technology of blockchain, because hey, when you start talking about financial markets, I won't drill down deep, but there are just a lot of inefficiencies, right? There's the way money is transferred, the way things are done on the back end, especially when you start talking about institutions, right? So I think the blockchain technology is could be a real solution to that. So again, I don't look at I don't I don't look at SEC or the government as the bad guys. I think they're on that side. Just quickly, secondly, there are, which I'm excited about, there are some kind of blockchain advocacy groups and lobbying groups in Washington that are working diligently to try to work with lawmakers and the SEC. So again, if you guys want to be a part of that, or you can reach out to me afterwards. But I think that's great, and I think that's what's going to be needed. The last point I want to say is, hey, we all know that that's no secret. Our government does not move fast. They do not move fast. So I don't think we're going to see any sweeping legislation on security tokens or digital securities or blockchain, you know, in the next year or the next couple of years. I think it's just going to take time, right? I mean, and when we talk about, you know, the financial markets, I mean, we've been doing the way we've been trading securities and what have you. We've been doing this. We've been doing things a certain way for a long time. So it's just going to take some time.
I agree. Now, full disclosure, I did go ahead and email Commissioner Pierce. It was a nice, friendly email, but I did email her.
Yeah, that's right.
And to be frank, the content of my email to her is, I want to know what it's going to take. And honestly, Kelvin, I'll even talk, you know, thoughts on this. But what is it going to take for us to scale down STOs, to scale down the issuing of securities? I know that we often, and we see a lot of the you know, the use cases like the St. Regis Resort, like the condo in New York, in Manhattan, and these are like really big offerings, which I mean, we get it. I mean, they're like $30 million plus.
Sure.
But I do, at least from my side, I'm much more interested in scaling STOs down to a level where the common person can really benefit from them. So that the person who's in a small town in, you know, middle America or wherever could go ahead and tokenize their business. If they had a landscaping business, they could tokenize part of it and raise capital for their own for their own business. So that is something for me that I'm much more intrigued by, the space being formulated and shaped into being able to, you know, fit into that way. But
well, I guess that's a hotbed topic, right? And
I know,
and I guess to kind of give some context, Eric. So I don't know if your viewers know the definition of an accredited investor, right? So basically, you can only invest in certain instruments, certain projects if you're an accredited investor, and security tokens falls into that. And I believe that accredited investor, either you have to make $250,000 a year, or be worth $1 million plus, have $1 million plus in assets, right? So there's a whole debate on, hey, that a whole group of people are shut out from different investor or investments across the board, right? So I think, where do I sit with that? So I sit a little bit on the fence with that, right? Because I mean, that's, again, that. So I feel like the SECs or organizations kind of posture is, hey, that they're trying to protect the regular person out there. So, hey, grandma or whatever doesn't lose her life savings, right? She invests her life savings in a real estate, a security token project. Hey, the gentrification fund that Eric and starts, she invested, and we hit the bad market, and grandma loses all her money, right? So, hey, because the reality is that there are risks involved in business, right? So, I think right now that's the position out there. Hey, we need to protect the consumers, right? And then there's a group that's saying, hey, we are being shut out. But here's some realities, and I say that people of color, we got to step up to the plate a little bit. But if the statistics don't lie, right? Which I'm always blown away by the statistics. I think I read where 70% of the American public is financially illiterate, right? Like only 20% of the American public really invest in the stock market, right? So I don't know. I mean, I think I don't know. I think protection needs to be in place. I know that may not be a popular opinion, because I think the onus on us. I think we as a people, and this happening out there, right? Again, that's a bigger topic, and I'll land a plane in a minute. You hit a nerve. It's your fault, Eric. You hit a nerve.
Hey, that's what I do. I mean, like.
But but the reality is that financial education, for the most part, it isn't taught in our schools. It isn't taught in college or whatever. So the onus is really on us to become financially literate and to become like investing literate, right? And I think that's a real deficiency. So when we start talking about security tokens or digital securities, we're talking about advanced levels of learning, of investing. And I make the argument that the general public is not there yet. But there is an opportunity for us to educate ourselves, for us to, I believe there's workarounds, right? For us to come together collectively to invest in different things, funds, investor clubs. I think there's workarounds. I think there's some great areas. But look, the bottom line is we got to get educated, because, hey, the reality is we wear. You guys are already cut me off. You're like,
no, I know this is what I want. This is what we like to do.
Listen, but the reality is, we drive Mercedes, Audis, Porsches, Louis Vuittons, wear Louis Vuittons, Nikes, but how many of us are invested in those companies?
I agree.
How many of those are invested? So I just don't know. Yeah, I just think we got to step. I think we got to step up our investing literacy, right? Our knowledge of investing, right? I think we got to participate more in investing. I think we got to teach our family and teach our kids, right? And then I think we can rally together and start advocating to get rid of or to become more lenient in the accredited investor laws and regulations out there. But hey, so bottom line, I think we got some work to do first, right?
And listen, I agree. I mean, I'm just going to be just frank. Where I come from on this point is,
sure, it's all good.
I do agree, because absolutely we do need a re-education when it comes down to investing. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, if someone is consuming a product, if you're consuming Netflix, okay, Netflix stock is available for you to purchase shares of Netflix stock. Now, at the same time, I also bristle at the SEC wanting to protect the investor, because I don't see them barring anybody from buying lottery tickets. So, I mean, and I'm gonna tell you, you most likely are gonna lose your money. Like, and I was just buying gas today, and there was a line of people up there buying lottery tickets. And I'm like, okay, well, where's all that money going? You know, so I so that sense, so in that sense, it's where I struggle at. But
I think, yeah, sure. And I'm jumping all over you now. I tell you, yeah.
No, I love it. Go.
Don't invite Kelvin back anyway. But yeah, I agree. But hey, there are some movements out there, and I think there are good. I think there are good cases to say, all right, if you're not an accredited investor, if you take a test to show your literacy, then you could participate in projects or what have you. Like I said, there's a movement out there for that. So I think I think, you know, us having something like that is good or whatever, because again, it puts the onus of responsibility on us, right, to learn and pass the test, right? But yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I mean, that's why I'm excited about security tokens as well. And I know that's part of your mission statement and kind of building wealth, right? But hey, like I said, it's a new market. Digital security tokens, groups of very wealthy people are starting to buy very large properties and invest in very large projects that way. And again, to all your members, we're at the very, 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 very beginning, right? So I would love to see there be a fund where people of color have an investor fund, and we're buying up. That's my vision, right? We're buying up properties together through tokens. We're investing in movies, and that can be, and not just in the United States, that can happen globally, right? You know, so I think I think, to me, that's what's exciting. We got the money, right? We're still one of the, you know, largest spenders out there. We still spend trillions of dollars. We got the money, right? So, but that's what makes me excited. I think this is a new instrument where people of color can come together, right? And start doing deals, buying up stuff.
100%. I mean, I tell you, you know, Kelvin, you're a creator, so you know this. Why I love this space so much is it presents itself with so much creativity that you can do, where you can merge finance and creativity in a way that I don't think we've ever seen before. They create results we've never seen before. I think about it for myself. Like, even like, can you imagine if you got some kids down in Atlanta, your rappers or whatever, they create a song, they haven't got the song published, or they own all the rights to it, and then they go ahead and create and tokenize that, and then their friends, their family, whomever has fractional ownership of it. So then, as that song itself begins to create value, it begins to create value in a very localized way, rather than just for a few. I mean, we never had the possibility for something like this before.
You know. I mean, I want to jump. I want to jump in for a moment.
Sorry, Eugene, like, we're just yapping.
I would.
I love it. One of the things, Kelvin, at the meetup, I learned is, yes, there are some ways that we unaccredited or non-accredited investors can actually tokenize an asset. And that was through Reg CF, which is crowdfunding, and then Regulation A+. That was one of the two ways that I learned that non-accredited investors can actually come together and get an asset tokenized. So I just wanted to jump into that game with you guys, what you're sharing, and with everyone. There is a way where non-accredited investors can actually get into the game, and that's the CF for crowdfunding and an AA+. So, but definitely education is important. You don't want to get into something and not know what you're doing. Just like Kelvin mentioned, if a security attorney says, "Hey, I'm only going to charge you $500," no, that's not the way to go. No.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think you definitely make a good point. But I tell people, we talk to people every day about tokenizing. Should you tokenize? Should you not tokenize? And I'll just tell you, and I'm gonna be super honest right now. I think tokenization, where we are in the market right now, it's a good ancillary benefit, right? They're only, there's out of the investor pool out there, VC funds, they're only a small percentage of investors that are interested in buying tokens right now. But that's changing, right? That's changing every day as they get informed. So the point I'm making is that don't get too hung up on tokenization right now. If you're thinking about tokenizing, you gotta look. It still has to be a good deal. It has to be It has to be. You have to have a solid. If you're trying to raise money, you can't just say, "Oh, I need to raise money for my company. Let me tokenize." That's the way. No, it has to. You have to. You got to check boxes, right? You got to have. You got to have, revenue, certain amounts of revenue per year, great team, great product, things of that nature. It needs to make business sense, right? And just where I am, I do a lot of business development in this space. I'm really, whether it's raising money for a real estate project or startup or whatever the case may be, I'm really approaching it in a traditional way. Or a movie fund, I'm approaching it in a traditional way. So that means that I'm going out and pretty much when I'm talking to investors, talking to groups, I'm talking about this in the old-fashioned way. But I say, hey, as an advantage to you, we're going to put this project or potentially put this project on a blockchain, which allows you some transparency, for instance, in the movie world, so you can see what's happening with the budget, you can see what's going on with the budget or whatever the case may be. And that's a little bit more palpable for investors, right? But right now, it's hard. People, from what I've seen amongst my colleagues, we are not leading with tokenization. We're leading with raising it the traditional way and saying tokenization is an ancillary benefit to investors. Does that make sense?
No, that makes a lot of sense, because that it's such a new thing that for many people. Yeah, so it takes some time for them to really wrap their heads around it.
Right.
But you did make a great point too that I want everyone not to forget is the underlying asset itself. The value is not in the token, but it's in the underlying asset itself.
Right.
If I go tokenize this box of tissues,
right.
What I mean? That's not valuable to anyone. So.
Right. If it's a sucky deal, if it's a sucky deal about tokenization is not gonna make it glow. Right. So I think that's the way to look at it. But I will say just quickly, but I'm super excited because you definitely see the institutional space, you see the investment banking space really getting into tokenizations. Like JP Morgan just announced, I think last week, that they're going to have a coin, which is amazing, right? So with some of their institutional transactions, they're going to just use a token, right? And that's using the blockchain technology. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot of with tokenization as well. It's not as sexy, right? But you're going to see a lot of banks have coins now. banks will have coins because it's just easy versus especially remittance and all, or when you get into international transactions, it's easier just to do it through a token or whatever than through, you know, huge sums of money, right? So I think you're going to see tokenization in a lot of back end ways first, right? Even I was reading an article by Anthony Pompliano that was talking about, you probably read that article, Eric, where Wall Street is really taking a look at, you know, putting Wall Street on the blockchain, right? Because one thing about blockchain is you can see a history, right? So that really increases security measures, right? You know, ALM, KYC, anti-laundering money, or know your customer, some of those issues, right? So I think you're going to really see tokenization take place in the back end. We'll see tokenization of deals, but I think a lot of stuff is going to happen in the back end, especially with banking, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, let's tokenize everything.
I agree.
Because it just makes sense.
I agree. I wanted to say too, speaking of use cases, have you heard any, and listen, and I know, you know, there are the things out there. Have you seen any use cases that really caught your eye and were really intriguing to you for whatever?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I think there's some great use cases that are happening in this space, and I think you alluded to it. I mean, when you start, again, I kind of go back to the old-fashioned way of explaining security tokens is when you think about pushing assets online, right? Then the world opens up, right? I mean, so I think use cases that I never even thought of was possible, right? Like I was reading the other a couple of weeks ago, I think, where a pharmaceutical company is doing a launch of a drug, and so they're going to tokenize. They're tokenizing that launch in that drug, so investors can participate through tokens in the launch of this drug, right? I think that's I think that's fascinating, right? You know, the next blood pressure medicine or whatever the case may. I mean, I never even thought of that, right? Who knew you could?
Wow.
I'm probably telling more than I should know. Who even knew? I mean, I knew I could buy a stock of a pharma company, but to be on the inside of being an investor in the launch of a particular drug, I think that's amazing, right? I think that's a great case study. I love what Securitize, which is, like I said, a great issuance platform, which Securitize is doing with IBM. So they partner, if you will, and they're really going to tackle the corporate debt market, right? So a lot of you may or may not know there's more debt in the world than equity, right?
Yes.
Way more debt, and corporations have debt as well. So they really want to tackle. I think it's the corporate debt is an $82 trillion market.
Yes.
So they really want to tackle that market, and I think that's amazing, right? You're going to be able so being able to invest in instruments that you never were able to invest before. And again, the last case study I'll use is Hollywood, right? Me and my group, or my group and I, are hopefully we'll be one of the first or the first, right? We're really trying to take a group of films, a genre of films, right, and either like a movie fund, and either tokenize the whole fund or piece of that fund, right? Which that's never happened before in history. But as you alluded to, movie, film, entertainment world, financing is a huge challenge in the Hollywood, right? Everybody needs finance. It doesn't matter if you're Oprah, Denzel. Well, maybe
Yes,
maybe not
absolutely.
Oprah. Let's take Oprah.
Yeah,
Well,
well, yeah.
anyway, but anyway, so I'm super excited about us and investors from outside of Hollywood being able to invest in movies. So I don't know, the next Get Out or whatever the case may be, right? Or again, the next Black Panther or whatever. I think that's exciting, and I think I think in the next few years you're going to see a lot of movies be tokenized.
I agree. And that is going to be especially when, once again, it begins to kind of scale down. And and kind of aside to your point that you said earlier, yes, it's going to have to be paired with an educational component where we actually begin to teach people, even teach them about the value of ownership. Like, hey, I want to go and if you're going to go and frequent this movie, you're going to go buy it or whatever. Yes, it would be great if you own,
But I, and through different circles, I mean, just kind of being in Hollywood and operating in Hollywood, whether it's be celebrities or high net worth individuals and people of color, I think we're, it's a really lot of smart people out here, smarter than I am. But I like what Steph Curry is doing. I like what Kevin Durant is doing. I like what Snoop Dogg is doing. Nas. I like what Jay-Z. I mean, like my wife and I talk about this stuff all the time. But I think we're really starting to get it right, where a lot of them are. Starting VC funds, right, or investing in startups, right? That's kind of like the thing. Okay, if I make a lot of money, let me get this VC fund going and invest in startups, right? So tokenization is and I know some entertainers and rapper types that are already on blockchain. So I think that's the next thing. I think the Jay-Z's they're super savvy, right? They're on tokenization. They're gonna start getting deals. And I heard lastly, I heard of this movement. I think that's great. Where even though I don't condone, drug dealers or whatever, but this movement where drug dealers are really starting to buy up property, right, in their particular neighborhoods, right? So I think that's, I think like J-Lo and J-Lo and that group, they're starting to buy properties and all of that. So I just think tokenization is going to happen too in the celebrity and the entertainment and the sports world with high net worth individuals, right? Let's just get together and tokenize, because it's easier. It's easier to do transactions that way.
I agree. One thing too that I found out that was really interesting was because you can embed within the smart contract of the token itself, you can embed certain privileges for the owner of the token itself.
Absolutely.
So, if they want to, premiere, tickets to the premiere, that can actually be in the token itself. So, like that wasn't even possible to do that previously.
Right. So, but I don't know if you mentioned that. I mean, and there's definitely laws around that, but I think when you start talking about globally, internationally, getting investors, there are definitely laws, right? But I think it's interesting to start saying, okay, like the Kanye's or whatever of the world, right? It's like if they have a project, they can go outside of the country and tokenize, right? Because when it comes to investors outside of the country, right? And of course, there's some regulations with that, right? But they don't necessarily have the same accredited investor laws that we do, right? So So you're starting to see a lot of that too, where people are moving a project outside of the United States, right? And doing tokenization raises outside of the United States to non-US investors, because then it can be depending upon the country, grandma can invest, right? So
yeah, right. That's smart. Yeah. Well, look, Kelvin, this has been a great
fellas,
conversation.
Yes, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Gina.
Nope, I was just going to say, this is awesome. I love the energy, Kelvin, that you're bringing to the conversation, and Eric as well. We definitely have to bring you back to further discuss and let us know what updates, updates on what you're involved in, what you're doing in this arena, especially film. I mean, I learned a lot just in you mentioning that. I think that would be awesome to be able to watch a film that you also have a token, you have an investment in. Right. And so I think that's awesome. And our audience definitely needed to hear that. So I'm glad that you shared that possibility, and that reality soon to be. In closing, do you have any closing remarks that you want to share with everyone?
Well, two quick things before I forget. Let me just give everyone my email address. You can just, if you have any questions, want to get involved, want to go deeper, whatever the case may be, you can just hit me up on Gmail. I'm a Gmail guy. It's Kelvin, like Kevin with an L, Dickerson, D as in David, at gmail.com. And what I would say, I mean, depending upon where you live, there are a lot of great conferences or what have you, that meetups that are happening, like here in LA. If you're in LA, there's the Security Token Summit, Crypto Invest Summit that's coming up in April. If you're in LA, you should definitely go to that. If you're interested in talking about tokenizing your company or real estate, I definitely work for a blockchain or advisory. I have a lot of colleagues that can help you. So reach out. And the second last point I want to say is, hey, get involved in the space, right? There are a lot of opportunities. I love what Eric said, is like, hey, I'm not by tradition a capital markets guy. I'm not a finance guy, right? I'm a business development guy, but blockchain and security tokens has gave me a way into this market, right? So if you're a lawyer, a marketing person, a business development person, a tech person, there's so much that needs to be built in this arena. Like, don't sit on the sidelines. It's exciting. It is going down. By the time the masses talk about it, I think it's over, right? So I think it's great that 99% of the people aren't talking about it. This is our opportunity to get on the bus, be in the front seat of the bus, right? So get involved, reach out, get further involved with what BBC is doing. Blockchain is what's up.
There you go. Nice. I love it. Well, there you go. You can't get any better than that, y'all. So we're going to pretty much end on that note. But Kelvin, once again, thank you so much for taking your time. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot from you. So
yeah, well, I learned a lot from you guys. So we're still learning. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Good.
There you go. Well,
okay.
All right. Well, have a good night, everybody.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.